The Mary Building, built by Captain Charles Hamilton Mary in 1867, is filled with more mystery and legend than perhaps any other place in the history of East Dubuque. From the woman in black seen repeatedly in the upstairs bedroom and the dining room, to the shackles hanging from the walls in the basement, to the tunnels beneath the building. It is a place of intrigue, stories, and speculation. And Captain Mary was more than just a ferry boat owner. He was an entrepreneur who monopolized the transportation of people across the Mississippi River at one of the most important ports in the region at the time. The building, erected at 399 Cincinnati Avenue, served as a place for parties, a place to show off his extravagant luxury, and a place for things only whispered about in the shadows. Among the many mysteries of this historic building, now a bed and breakfast, is the building's limestone tunnel leading out from the basement. Some say at one time it ran as far underground as the banks of the Mississippi River, and was used by Mary's men to smuggle goods away from the captain's guests as he entertained them through the night. Still others claim a more noble use for this tunnel, suggesting that the house, as the Mary Building was called in its day, was a stop along the Underground Railroad. Slaves fleeing north could gain a night's respite in the sanctity of the basement by means of protection of the tunnels. But what of the shackles lining the walls? A way to secure travelers' livestock while they awaited safe passage to the Iowa side of the mighty river. Or a place to hold slaves being sold back to the south. Yes, there are some legends that suggest still another view of these damp tunnels, another side to the captain. Was he an aid to the cause of freedom or a Southern lover on Northern soil? Well, again, the house was built in 1867, a full 2 years after the Civil War, which means slavery was already abolished. Still, those shackles are the size and shape of a human wrist. So if not slaves, then whose? At some time in history, it is suggested that the building was used as a temporary jailhouse. Sorting out the mysteries of the Captain Mary Building has been an ongoing project of the current owners, and I am not foolish enough to think that I can unravel it entirely today. Perhaps the lack of evidence that perpetuates the mystery is the allure of such legends. Without the mystery, it would just be another home, another aging building beyond its prime. As for Mary himself, he was put out of business by the construction of a bridge. In 1879, a foot and wagon bridge eliminated the need for the ferry service. The captain disappeared from the public record and perhaps even from East Dubuque entirely shortly after its construction, leaving the house to his wife. As time passed, the Mary Mansion fell to disuse and begun to succumb to the elements. This stately home that once held parties for such guests as Abraham Lincoln was left as just another abandoned manor that had outlived its use in a changing city. For almost a century, little is known of the building's various tenants. However, it's certain that at a time in the 20s, like so many other places in East Dubuque, it found use as a speakeasy. When it was renovated in 2001, old craps tables were found stowed away in the basement. Many even claim that Al Capone himself had ties to the Mary Building. Now, I realize that one would be hard-pressed to find a city or town in northern Illinois that doesn't claim this. But there is some evidence, loose as it may be, to suggest that it was plausible. The Julian Inn in Dubuque, Iowa, may have actually been owned by the famed mobster, and the surrounding area was said to be his hideout when things got too hot in Chicago. The inn was used as a lookout with a perfect vantage point of the bridge. Capone's men would be able to see a raid coming well in advance, allowing him time to make a getaway from an underground garage said to have existed nearby. On the Illinois side of the river, the Mary Building likewise sits exactly opposite the bridge with an excellent view from its cupola. For a bit more concrete evidence of Capone's presence in East Dubuque, or at least the presence of his men, we can turn to a 1926 article from the Chicago Daily Tribune titled "Chicago Gunmen Carry War to Dubuque, One Dead." It reads like the pages of a dime novel. Mike Bonbon Elgretti knelt on the floor of the Bonbon Cafe in an East Dubuque suburb. Jack Shea stood behind him, twin automatics in his hand. Shea toyed with the helpless Elgretti, repeatedly calling him a dead man and requesting that he say his prayers. After 10 minutes of banter between the two hardened gangsters, Shea began to count to 3. 1. Sweat dripped down Elgretti's brow. 2. Elgretti asked for the Lord's forgiveness, playing each sin over in his mind. 3. The gun clicked. No bang. With all the fun Shea was having, making the moment a memorable one, he'd forgotten to take the safety off the gun. Elgretti leapt behind the bar, grabbing his own revolver. Both men fired, but it was Bonbon's bullets that made their mark. Mike Elgretti was the cousin of Al Capone, returned to the pages of the Tribune several times in 1931 and 1932 for his role as the manager of Ralph Capone's Cotton Club in Cicero, as well as the allegations of being a pimp who regularly brought women from his brothel to Al Capone in prison. It was incidents like these that led to the nickname of the area around East Dubuque being called Little Cicero. Can we say for certain that Capone gamed and drank at the Mary Building? No, but the allure of the mystery is what makes such legends so intriguing.